psychology of the police today. When they look at us much differently, let's say, than in the 1960s when you had Barney Fife and Andy Griffith on television when they didn't carry weapons. They're so overloaded with military equipment, military training, even local police. Their psychology changes. So the way the police look at us today is basically, in many situations, enemy combatants.
The line continues to be blurred, and if we allow it to continue, we could very well find ourselves one day in some off-site facility wondering in the world, what just happened to us? Where are our rights? We are constantly told, you have nothing to worry about if you have nothing to hide. But perhaps the biggest jump of all happened on one fateful day.
Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center.
The plane may have hit one of the two towers of the World Trade Center.
That is it.
A live picture.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
Oh my God, another plane has just hit another building.
The lines between policing, intelligence gathering, and national security weren't just blurred, but were completely erased. The war on terror provided yet one more warlike metaphor that supported overly aggressive policing. The Department of Homeland Security was created, given an even larger budget to local, state, and federal police agencies so they could acquire more military-grade equipment. The chaos and the fear Al-Qaeda generated enabled legislators to rush through legislation, the uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism, more simply known as the Patriot Act. As you saw in the Root series, The Birth of Big Brother, the Patriot Act opened the floodgates on the work of Herbert Yardley's Cipher Bureau. If the government suspects you of being a terrorist, most of the Bill of Rights stop applying to you. You could be detained indefinitely, have your phones tapped, or have your home raided by SWAT without warning. The Fourth Amendment, protecting you from unreasonable searches and seizures, doesn't exist. It's a dead letter.
The FBI shows that violent crime in America is at a 40-year low. In 2013, it was the lowest murder rate in America in 100 years, in a century. Policemen getting killed in the line of duty is at a 50-year low. It shows you that there's really not a problem with violent citizens in America with gun owners, which are often classified as basically extremists to terrorists. I think what we're seeing today is our government is very, very paranoid.
Now, maybe you're thinking that there's no way this would apply to you. I'm not a terrorist. Well, here are a few examples of persons the federal government now considers potential terrorists. These are all seen in official U.S. documents. Evangelical Christians, those who display the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, those who voted for Ron Paul, those who are opposed to the collection of federal income taxes, those that have a negative view of the UN, those that talk of the New World Order in a derogatory manner, those against illegal immigration, veterans, those that believe in the right to bear arms, those suspicious of centralized federal authority, anyone opposed to Agenda 21, and the list goes on and on. So what is the government capable of doing if they suspect terrorism and channel their new Patriot powers? Imagine a manhunt in your city. It's in complete lockdown. You can't leave your home. Platoons of military-clad troops patrol the streets in tanks and armored personnel carriers. If police insignia didn't designate them as such, you'd think they had come from the nearest military base rather than the local police department. Your door is kicked in without warning, and your family is herded into the streets. No reason is given or offered. They don't have to tell you anything. They move on and now do the same thing to your neighbors. Your business is shut down. Black Hawk helicopters patrol the skies using thermal imaging to spot human heat signatures. Sound far-fetched? Well, this is exactly what happened in Boston after the marathon bombing. Where were the civil liberties on that day?
with the scaremongering that's happening right now, and there's no accidents at all that we're hearing the Department of Homeland Security talk constantly about how there's going to be a lot more terrorism on U.S. soil at a time when they're trying to reauthorize the Patriot Act. I mean, these things, you don't have to be a cynic or a paranoiac to say, okay, I see what they're doing right now. Whenever there is a moment, the Boston Marathon bombings, for example, or any kind of plot that's thwarted, even if that plot was totally cooked up to begin with by the FBI, which a lot of counterterrorism plots have been, those moments are precisely when a lot of conservatives, especially, but others, come out of their shells and say, see, you civil libertarians, enough. You know, don't you understand this? It's war this time. As if the Founding Fathers, when they were writing the Constitution and as they were cobbling together a new government, weren't faced constantly with war and intrigue and foreign plots and all kinds of uncertainty on their frontiers. But that kind of rhetoric still sticks with us. It has less potency than it did in, let's say, October of 2001. But anytime something happens negatively, then they point to that and they try to seize more power.
George Washington's warning, first ignored in the progressive era with a Nazi sympathizer, August Vollmer, has long since been forgotten.
If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Michelle Malkin disagrees, Mr. President. Who Built That tells the riveting stories of the relentless thinkers who have embodied our nation's entrepreneurial spirit from the colonial period to the present. It's an eclectic journey and a rousing tribute to the American inventors who achieved their dreams and helped build the America we love today. Who Built That? Available now wherever books are sold.
I want to tell you about a tremendous success story in the mortgage business, American Financing. It's a family-owned business that was literally started out of a spare bedroom in 1999. It was Damien and Gabby. They saw an opportunity to better serve home buyers with salary-based loan consultants rather than commission-based loan officers. What that means is that American Financing works for you to find the loan that is in your best interest, not what's good for the bank. That's totally different, and that's why when there was a collapse in the market, American Financing didn't have any problems. If you're in the market for a new home loan or a refi, I urge you to call these people. I've known them for a very long time, American Financing. You could be saving hundreds of dollars every single month, and that is significant money in today's economy. It only takes you 10 minutes to pre-qualify, and you can close in as fast as 10 days. American Financing, no upfront fees. They'll customize a loan to fit your financial goals. American Financing.
A man was walking home in an upscale area of London when he was mugged by a couple of bad guys. The man was a successful lawyer. He had pulled himself up by the bootstraps. Now he's standing there fearing for his life as the attackers waved their knives and yelled at him to give everything he had. He complied, exactly as the cops in the UK preach, and he was left with nothing but his life. But the criminals soon returned to take that as well. With heads down, knives drawn, saying nothing, he died at their hands. We live in a crazy, dangerous world. We do. And stories like this remind me how important it is to be prepared. I sat down with Tim Larkin. I asked him why these acts of violence occurred and how to survive them. Tim is the guy I brought into my house to teach my family, my daughters, how to protect themselves. Watch the whole conversation I had with Tim at 5secondsurvival.com. 5secondsurvival.com. It could save your life. Do it now.
The simplest way to think of Overstock is million products, better prices, great brand names.
Overstock.com was founded on good old-fashioned business principles. You can trust us. The products that we have on Overstock supports every lifestyle, every life event.
It transmits into how we treat the consumers, but also how we treat the suppliers. It's not just a transaction, it's a relationship.
You know, we live in really scary times, especially for our power grid. And at a time of crisis, the value of a solar generator
is priceless. We have one from Solutions from Science, and this is what it looks like. Bill Hyde has been the leader in solar generators for years now. This generator is really easy to use. All you do is you take it out, you point it directly at the sun, you plug the solar panel cord into the power backup, and you turn it on. And it provides backup power through the storms, through the blackouts, and unlike gas generators, it runs quietly, it doesn't emit any fumes, and it produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. So you can run your sump pump, you can run your shortwave radio, your computer, your refrigerator, keep all your food from spoiling. The generators provide life-saving backup power when you need it most. Go to endlesspowernow.com. Get the free Blaze special offer. Use the coupon code GLENN, and you get a solar generator for half off. It's endlesspowernow.com.
George Washington warned of an overgrown military establishment. The nation adhered to those words of wisdom for over a century, and it served the nation well during one of the toughest times, a brutal, bloody civil war that claimed the lives of over 600,000 citizens. Even that couldn't deal a final death blow to Washington. The progressive era is hailed by academics. Presidents like Woodrow Wilson and FDR are routinely ranked among the giants of American history. People like August Vollmer are lifted up as visionaries ahead of their time. In reality, early 20th century progressives are responsible for leading the country away from its founding principles, and America is finally reaping what the progressives have sowed for over 100 years. If we continue the work Vollmer began and militarize local police even more, Lincoln's warning will have fallen on deaf ears. The war rooms brought home in the name of safety and security will provide neither, because in the end, societies run by overgrown military establishments just do not last. The times that we're living in right now are requiring us